It was the 11th of April, 1981. This spine-chilling story begins in Quincy, California, in a small town in a place called Keddie. After this incident, it stopped people ever wanting to visit the town ever again, and sent shockwaves through the community. Keddie was a town known for being a great tourist destination, for its tall pine trees and great views. Keddie would properly come alive at summertime. There was 33 cabins, which would be rented out for $170 per month. Nevertheless, it wasn't always a perfect town, and was crushed by a quadruple homicide murder in cabin 28. The Sharp family had been living at the residence of cabin 28 for 5 months. It was the 12th of April, early in the morning, when Sheila Sharp, a 14-year-old girl, was on her way home from a sleepover, and upon opening the door was met with an eye-piercing sight of her mother, Glenna Sue Sharp, her 15-year-old brother, John Sharp, and her brother's 17-year-old friend, Dana Wingate, mutilated and murdered. Sheila had came out of the house screaming at the top of her lungs and petrified at the sight she had just witnessed. Sheila then sprinted back to her neighbour's cabin, number 27, which was where she had the sleepover. Sheila then began to spill to the Seabolt family about what she had just seen. One of the members of the Seabolt family rushed to cabin 28, and upon the disturbing scene, they called the police instantly. Whilst Sheila was waiting for the police, what felt like an eternity before they arrived, didn't recall seeing her two brothers, 10-year-old Greg Sharp and 5-year-old Rick Sharp, and their friend, 12-year-old Justin Smart. It turned out somehow the 3 boys left the cabin completely unharmed and had slept through the nightmare that had unfolded. The first officer on scene was a man named Hank Clement. The 3 victims were found tied up with electrical wire and medical tape before being beaten to death with a claw hammer. Additionally, the killer had also stabbed Sue and John in the throat. Blood was discovered across the floor and on the wallpaper in one of the bedrooms. Also, more was found coated on the ceiling and on the furniture of the living room. It was quickly found out that 12-year-old Tina Sharp was missing from the cabin. Tina had wished to stay at the Seabolt's cabin with Sheila, but Sue refused to let her stay there. Unfortunately, Tina was in the cabin. The Plumas County Search and Rescue Team then put out an alert in the local newspaper to keep an eye out for Tina in Lassen, Butte, and Sierra counties. In the papers, they described her of having long blonde hair and a slender build. They also reported the clothes she was wearing on the last night. She was seen with blue jeans and a blue shirt, in the same counties that the newspapers were given out. They also checked if anyone had gone to hospital with any stab wounds, as it was speculated the killers could have possibly harmed themselves in the attack. As investigators continued to attempt to piece the case together, it was said that witnesses had seen John and Dana attempting to hitchhike a ride at multiple places, by Crescent Street, Lawrence Street in Quincy, and near the Golden Pan Motel. This was estimated to have happened around 9 to 10 PM on the night of the murders. But investigators couldn't figure out the boys' location after this. They did know that in the next 10 hours, they arrived back at the cabin 27, where they were murdered. It was debated by investigators if there was an intent of robbery, but that was dropped after finding no valuables were stolen. It was then concluded there was 2 or more killers, one who was armed with a claw hammer. The other items used in the assault were items found in the cabin, which was a claw hammer and 2 knives. The most confusing point for the investigators was how Justin, Greg, or Rick didn't hear the murders, or the neighbours who lived 3 meters away. Upon Justin having his first interview with the police, he said that he slept through the whole crime, but further into the interview gave a different story. Justin was then claiming that he witnessed the crime happening from his bedroom door, but then a third time he changed his story again, saying he dreamed about the murders. When under hypnosis, he described his dream to the investigators. He said that Tina had woken up and proceeded to the living room. He was then taken away by one of the men. Justin went as far as describing the murderers, saying that one of them had a mustache and long hair, while the other had shorter hair and was clean shaven. He also called to mind that one of the men had a pocket knife which was used to attack Sue. That same man was also carrying a claw hammer. The psychologist later investigated Justin and came to the conclusion that Justin had seen everything, but his brain as a defense mechanism was making him think it was all a dream. There was a total of 8 investigators on the crime scene for the first few weeks, working 24/7 on trying to find a lead. It was then they introduced a secret witness program in the hope to gain leads. At the end of the program, they put together a sketch of 2 men. These men aren't confirmed suspects, but were in the area and disappeared before the crimes. They were also spotted by multiple witnesses, but the 2 men were not identified, and as time slowly passed, nothing came of this. By the time a year had elapsed, we would react and investigate the leads as they came in, said Plumas County Sheriff's Sergeant Steve Wright. Many different people had their theories on what happened to Tina. Some were as far as thinking that she was being held hostage somewhere. It had taken 3 long years before Tina was found by a bottle hunter who accidentally found some human remains by Feather Falls, which is around 50 miles away from Keddie, which was confirmed to be Tina. It was said by examiners that she had died 6 months after the killings in Keddie and was expected that she was also murdered. In the upcoming months and years, there was lots of theories and suspects, but the 2 lead suspects were 2 men, Martin Ray Smart and John Bubiday. Keddie was known to have a drug problem, in which allegedly Smart was one of the key contributors to this. Both of the men were also spotted by multiple people in a local bar wearing 3-piece suits and sunglasses. People felt as if they were attempting to draw attention to them. Some of the men who worked at the pub had described them as acting weird. In addition, both of the men had criminal records. John also had ties to organised crime in Chicago. Before Sue's death, she was talking to Smart's wife, Marilyn, saying that she would leave Smart as he was abusive and having multiple affairs. It was thought by investigators that Smart had possibly heard Marilyn and Sue talking. Some investigators saw Smart as a very possessive and jealous man, but it was said Marilyn could be similar. Based on this, it was thought by investigators that Sue was a primary target and the others were just killed because they were suspects to the crime. Smart was questioned shortly after the murders and informed the investigators that one of his hammers had recently gone missing. Not long after, both of the men had left the county and Smart had wrote a letter to his wife talking about his love for her and quoted writing, "I've paid the price for your love and now I've bought it with 4 people's lives." It was 7 weeks after and a counsellor had said that Smart admitted to the murders, saying, "I killed the woman and the daughter, but I didn't have anything to do with the boys." The counsellor continued to interrogate Smart and asked why Tina didn't run away, and he replied saying that he incapacitated her. The counsellor claimed that Smart believed that Sue was responsible for Marilyn wanting a divorce. This was later passed as hearsay by the Department of Justice. Smart and Bubiday both passed a lie detector test after the official investigation. No one was arrested and both men have passed away. The cabin was then later demolished in 2004. Thanks for watching.